I genuinely think the reason I'm super successful is because I got booed my whole life. If you're running a motorboat, you don't fill it the same way you fill a cruise ship. It's gonna sink, and that's what people are doing. They're overthinking, and then that led to the next part, which is don't overthink your content. I think that, giving is intoxicating once you get into it, but you can't give if you're not in a place of giving. And that doesn't mean money. That means happiness.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men all my life. Like 9 for my top 10, top 10, 9. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because chances are you are the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more. And you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Gary Vaynerchuk, and my take on his top 10 rules for success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Stop overthinking.
The amount of money people that are trying to replicate my model, but are overspending on the tech or the lighting or the post-production, that's not gonna work. If you're running a motorboat, you don't fill it the same way you fill a cruise ship. It's gonna sink, and that's what people are doing. They're overthinking, and then that led to the next part, which is don't overthink your content. Because that wasn't the physical manifestation, it was the mental manifestation. You know how many owners and CEOs jump in and look at their Instagram account and they're like, I don't like that picture, and it breaks the whole machine? That's, so all these things.
Rule number 2, listen.
Can you try and narrow down what is the number one driver of engagement in the workplace?
The ability to listen. The number one driver of engagement is the macro, and then the individual employees that make up the company's ability to actually listen. I really...
So, cultivating our ability to listen as employees, as managers, is a very important focus going forward for you and your organization.
It's the only thing I think about. Mm-hmm. If you think about just to create some levels of clarity here for everybody, the ability to engage and be engaged and things of that nature completely start with the seed of being heard. Somebody being heard is completely different than somebody who feels they're not heard.
That's also what research shows.
Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
Good. That makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To be seen and to have the opportunity or possibility to influence
the outcome.
Your situation so that you're not trapped.
Nothing makes me more excited than when a junior employee comes, gives a recommendation, and then 7 months later, it actually becomes true, and they reach out to me, and they never think it was them. Hey Gary, Sarah Thompson here. We met 7 months ago. Just saw the announcement, or just saw this, or this just happened. I'm sure it wasn't me, and you probably don't remember that I asked you, but I'm so glad it's happening. And then me on a flight at 1:30 in the morning, dear Sarah, it happened because you walked into my office, I heard you, I thought you might be right, I investigated, we did it, It's one of my favorite parts of my job.
Rule number 3, have patience.
I'm real passionate about patience. I think the biggest vulnerability to this room, including the coaches and us old guys, is patience. I wish the coaches over here knew how young they were. Watching 30, 40, 50-year-olds completely confused by the context of time is one of the most fascinating things I see in our society. People always come up to me and they're like, Gary, when are you gonna buy the jets? And I'm like, 25 years. And they get sad as they think they want me to have it tomorrow. And I'm like, I just don't build wealth like that. I'm just one brick at a time. I'm not gambling out here or hoping or dreaming. I already f***ed up by passing on Uber twice in the angel round. That would have made me my billion. So I missed that shot. So the reality is that I'm just building blocks. And so, whether you deploy this, what I'm talking about right now, to how you're thinking about cracking the starting lineup, or why you're pissed you're on special teams but you should be starting, or whatever bullshit excuses you come up with in your own head, The reality is patience as an overlay is remarkably important.
Rule number 4, love the process.
The reason so many things are easy for me is I don't give a f. He's using my signature on a thing. I have no idea what the f he's talking about. My signature is my most important IP. And I don't give a f because I like him and fine, Nate did something, want to sell 5 bottles, 15 cases, 40K. But do you know how many people would freak the f out with that?
Yeah.
So it just matters. The answer is very individual. You know?
Yeah.
There's most of the things I do, most people don't agree with. Most of the things I do, most people don't agree with because I'm unique in my lack of interest in short-term money. And I'm now starting to debate even money in itself. I just like my process.
Also, if you want to have more self-belief and more self-confidence, I've created a special free program where every day for the next 254 days, I will send you an unlisted video to help you boost your self-belief and self-confidence. The link to join for free is in the description below.
I really think mindset is everything. And so you've got to really decide, are you going to be positive about things or negative about things? Seek out your friend's friend who brings positive vibes and make them part of your world, and cut out your homie from college that thinks the world sucks. Watch what that addition and subtraction does to your life. You don't just sit in your room hoping and then something lucky happens. Nobody just knocks on your house's door and says, congratulations, you've been awarded this. Luck comes from being in the right spot.
Rule number 5, embrace losses.
One thing I love about athletes is if they get to the right place mentally, they're in a place where they're always ready to get booed. I genuinely think the reason I'm super successful is because I got booed my whole life. I was an immigrant, couldn't speak English, got booed. I was a terrible student, a couple miles away from here, got booed, right? I was small as and not good enough at sports, got booed. I got booed at everything, which made me a great entrepreneur because I'm ready to get booed. I love being booed. I love L's. The reason I love the Jets and Knicks so much is they haven't won shit. I grew up a huge Yankees and Rangers fan. As soon as they won a title, I was out. I'm about to climb. I love losses. I love pain. I'm serious, I love it.
Rule number 6, deploy emotional intelligence.
In your view, how aware of are the average business leaders of the correlation between employee engagement and profitability?
Non-existent. Because CFOs are too literal, an Excel sheet, and 90%, if not 99%, are not deploying emotional intelligence above their financial intelligence, and they are spreadsheet basics. And
do we need new KPIs?
Yes.
How do we clarify this correlation? Because it is there, research shows it's there, you've seen it, others have seen it. Research
oftentimes and reporting doesn't penetrate a cliche CFO. You know, no matter what you and I come and talk from personal experience. Somebody else comes from an academic point of view on this. Shows, dear CFO, you are wasting $4.9 million a year of people sitting there and crying and not working. And if you had better engagement, I know that to be true in my bones. In my bones, I know that a proper culture creates a scenario where people have better output in the time that they deploy. I know that as an intuitive human. But now let's have some empathy in the other direction. If you're the CFO of Ericsson and you have to report numbers, and you have to report numbers every 90 days, it gets very hard for you to make the investment. Let's play this out. Okay, so Rick and Susan hear us and they deploy, they're bought in, they believe in you and I. What happens next? Well, you have to start putting in money to put into programs. You have to put in money to put into human beings that rev up the culture. All of a sudden, we asked the CFO, who's looking every 90 days on a whim in their mind, because it's not mathematically quantitatable no matter what our reports show, they have to pour money into this for the hope that later it pays dividends.
It's called investment.
I've heard. People don't invest.
Rule number 7, triple down on your strengths.
should I try to double or triple down on my strengths within each business as far as scheduling time, doing my thing?
You personally?
Yes.
100%.
Okay.
Like nothing I believe in more than the fact that most people lose is they waste time on trying to fix shit that's never fixable. And what I mean by that is, I'm not gonna be an NFL quarterback. And I'm not gonna be not high energy. Do you guys understand that if I was 13% less high energy, that I would be 2 times bigger? There's a lot of people that can't deal with my energy. Do you understand that if I didn't curse, that I would have 12 million followers, not 6? Like, people don't get it. Like, but I'm just a buyer of like being who you are. I could be so much bigger if I toned it down a hair, cleaned up a little language today, not in 12 years.
Swordplay, yeah.
Got it? Understand?
Yep.
That's how I think about strengths and weaknesses.
Rule number 8, be selfless and selfish.
I think that, giving is intoxicating once you get into it, but you can't give if you're not in a place of giving. And that doesn't mean money. That means happiness. And I think Ed, you, me, others, I'm really, really excited. I think the alpha male winner is starting to evolve. I don't think it means being a pushover, like some people get concerned that our culture is getting too woke on that. I think it means rounded in that, like, I want people to feel comfortable in their selfishness. I love saying, I'll do it right now. I want everybody to sign up for winetext.com if you buy wine. Now that's my dad's business, but that is like my family business. So I want people to promote their thing. I wanted people to buy K-Swiss. I want them to buy Empathy Wines. I want them to go to VaynerMedia and VaynerX.com and work with my companies. I want that. There's nothing wrong with that. And I don't want people to disguise, like what happens. You get into this gratitude guilt frame where when you're saying something, you hedge it with like, but it's altruistic. I'm like, you can have both. You can be altruistic and give and be awesome and be selfish and have a boat and a house and millions of dollars. Like, it's all good. And by the way, you can also do whatever the f- you want. But there is no balanced conversation right now. It's almost like you have to be foofy, give away everything, or completely rogue, I'm all about me. And the reality is everybody's in between. And I want to be great at both, right? Like bleeding out of my eyeballs till 3 a.m. this whole week, every day, and being exhausted, but knowing that I'm one of the 3 energies. There's 5 energies. Alan Tisch, Michael Rubin, the founder of it, and me, and then Fanatics' company and VaynerMedia's company, they're working right this second, that have helped in 5 days to raise $10 million. That's going to feed some kid in Mississippi, some elderly woman in Westchester. Like eat. Not to mention all the happiness that comes when you're the person that wins the speaking role in Leo, and you're just a normal person, and for months, you and your friends are just happy every day talking about it. Yeah. 83 people in your world, there's so much good that can be done, both selfless and selfish.
Rule number 9, take action.
And people always ask me, Gary, I want to impact people the way you do or change the world, these very heady things. I'm like, well, just do it for one person. It's action. People love to ideate or pontificate, but they don't do. And so for me, this is a game about doing. So yes, be that change, but be that change as somebody who does it within what they can control. You knocking on the door of the CEO and demanding XYZ is very cute, but you're not sitting with all the context.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is use the leverage.
The biggest thing that I've observed when I've talked to teams and now speaking to a lot of kids, the top for me is how many people in this room, when they go to class or on campus, are in a place where they're headphones in, focused on their shit, given that you have the leverage right now. And the reality is the kids around you that want to say what's up are gonna have the leverage in a decade. I think about this every day. I think about it's funny, when I talk, I always think about, it's funny to have AJ here. By having a brother who's 11 years younger, I kind of got a lot of practice early to spit wisdom or try to be a mentor. I think about what I would tell AJ if he was dramatically more athletic and was sitting in this room. And I would say yo bro, this is just the math around it. Yet, there's 100 people on campus right now who are gonna be the biggest CEOs or players in New York City in 7 years, and right now they're dying to take a selfie with you, but you have no time because you might be caught up that you have the leverage right now, and that's the biggest mistake. It's the biggest, I call it the high school girl rule, right? A lot of people didn't want to talk to certain girls in high school, but 6 years later, they really want to talk to them, but they fucked up the leverage because they were a dick in high school. And I think about that a lot, and I think a lot of you are in that position right now. Please don't underestimate or take for granted. Obviously, if you're in this room, you know, for the far majority of you, you had leverage in high school too from your athletics. And so you're used to that by now, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. That leverage is everything in society. It's crazy. I watch it every day. The whole social media thing, watching the biggest, most famous people in our society only 5 to 7 years ago be slow to Instagram because they thought they were fancy and they were celebrities, so they didn't go on, and they made fun of Instagram models, and they made fun of Instagram comedians, and they made fun of people, and now, where that is the currency, and they're not on it, just watching the most famous people in our society grabbing at straws, hitting me up of like, how do I do this? When just 5 years ago, they had all the leverage, and now we forgot who they were or don't give a shit. It's fascinating.
Now I've got a special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy, but before that, it's time for the question of the day. I wanna know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video, and what is your specific plan of action for the next week? When you just watch a video and get motivated by it, you have a 35% chance of following through. But when you get motivated and then create a specific plan of action, you have a 91% chance of following through. That's what we do here, Believe Nation. We get motivated, but then we do something about it. And when you commit to other people, you increase your chances even further of following through. So, what was your biggest takeaway from this video? And then what is your plan of action around it for this week? Put it down in the comments below because I want to celebrate you.
Honestly, I don't judge myself. Like, I'm prepared for my children to say they wish I was around more. And I'm also prepared for them to show me that I showed them a life of doing what you love, so I taught them how to live. And that doesn't mean about money. And if they go in nonprofit politics, serving the public, whatever they may do, business, I think lead by example matters.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I got lucky that technology makes me connected more than ever. And I can physically be there way, way, way more than my father was. So like, you know, like I think everyone's different. And I think you don't know. You have children that, I remember this woman in the Philippines, I was at a conference, said something that blew my face off, which was like, she's like, you know, I used to resent my mother because she was like a judge and she worked her face off. And she's like, but then like when I got older, like it's become the foundation of my happiness. She showed me I could be independent and have a child, and I love her. And it spoke to me because the reason I don't fear working so much and potentially missing stuff when I'm 10,000x more involved than my dad was is because my dad is one of the loves of my life.
Yeah.
We have a tremendous relationship. On the flip side, I don't make the assumption that my kids are going to see it the same way. So I'm mentally prepared for them to be disappointed.
Wow, brother. Wow.
And by the way, one will be and one won't be. That's so cliche, right? Like, and so like, I'm open to that. And I'm most open to adjusting. They're going to now be 11 and 8 this summer. Like, well, maybe things change. And then, by the way, things change when they get older. All of a sudden, you know, the only thing I think about is sitting courtside at Knicks games with my son 2 times a week when he's 14, a New York City kid, grab an Uber, meet me at the Garden, and live life together.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so like, and that wouldn't have happened. And not that you need courtside. Last row's great for me as well, back to the last story, but let's not get it twisted, especially where my life is. For my son at 13, when he's sitting there and Russell Westbrook comes over and gives him daps, he's gonna be fired the fuck up and it's fun. Now what I also have to do is make sure I don't buy him so they become spoiled as so he realizes like, cool, you want Russell Westbrook to fist bump your son or daughter? Then you better work. Evan, thank you so much for having a couple seconds and being able to tell the Believe Nation a little bit about Empathy Wines. It means a lot to me that you would take this valuable real estate and time on your channel to give me some love. It means a lot. It's just good karma points, and so you're awesome. Thank you. Believe Nation, if you're into wine at all, go to empathywines.com. My whole career's work was poured into producing a wine that rivaled $40 to $60 wine for 20 bucks a bottle. I'm just super excited about this subscription-based wine business. You can order 3, 6, or 12 bottles in subscription form, rosé, white, red. If you search on Instagram or Twitter, you will be blown away. People are literally like, I don't even like Gary Vee, but the wine's good. Super proud of the effort. Thanks, Evan, for the time. Wishing you guys all happy and healthy.
If you want to learn how to market on social media like Gary Vee, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.